This meeting, the special called meeting actually of the Simpson County Fiscal Court to order. We'll start, if you would, join me in a prayer, and then after that we'll have the pledge to the flag. Heavenly Father, we do come before you today to thank you for this day you've given us, and Lord, we thank you for the many blessings of life. And Lord, we know that the greatest blessing that you've given us is salvation through your Son Jesus, and we thank you for that. Lord, we ask you to lead us and guide us in this meeting time, be with us in all the thoughts and decisions that are made, that it would be the things that are right and pleasing in your sight and be beneficial to this community. And we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so I'll remind everyone that's with us today and those watching, and obviously just a reminder to ourselves actually too, that today's meeting is a special called meeting, meaning that we can only discuss and take action on items that are actually on the agenda. I guess we can share other information as we get into reports, but we can't take any action on any of that information. We can only share it. So with that out of the way, we'll get to going because it's a pretty healthy itinerary here. We have Michelle Estes with Soil Conservation here to present their updated 24-25 soil conservation budget.
Good morning. I'm Michelle Estes. I'm with the Simpson County Conservation District. I'm the District Operations Manager. Chad Kono, our Vice Chair, was supposed to be here this morning, but he has some equipment problems on the farm, so we all understand how that goes this time of year. I am bringing to you all our revised 24-25 budget. We requested $100,000, and if I understand the court right, we will be getting $90,000.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we are bringing this before you all for your approval. And I also brought before you all our 24-25 plan of work. This is what, this is actually a very short list, but it gives you a pretty good idea of what we do and what we will be doing throughout the year. We also need approval for this.
I know, Michelle, I know we've got a copy of the budget.
Yes, I have a few extras if you all.
We've got a copy of that. And I think, Sam, because we don't actually approve their budget, we just acknowledge receipt of it.
No, sir. If you do not approve my budget according to the Division of Conservation, I cannot open my office on July 1. And the same with the plan of work.
Can't hurt, I'm just saying.
Because we are part of your budget. Because we receive funds from you all for the
what?
Move to approve.
All right, we got a motion by Marty to approve, got a second by Jeffrey. Any other question or discussion? Do we need to do these in separate motions, the budget and then the plan of work? Or can we do them collectively, council?
Do the budget.
Okay. Is this a motion to approve the budget?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a motion by Marty, a second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Now, I do have a really unique question here since this is a special called meeting and we have budget on the agenda. We do not have the plan of work on the agenda. Does
the statute also say that, I don't,
Yes.
I'm not about the plan of work yet?
Well, it is in there that we have to give you all a copy of our plan of work yearly.
I understand that. We can accept it. I'm just saying, I'm not so sure we have to approve it, but we certainly can accept it.
But my question is, can we even vote any way at all on it since it's not particularly listed on the agenda and this is a special called meeting? Because I wasn't aware of the plan of work item, only the budget.
Is it part and parcel of your budget presentation?
No, sir. The budget is on its own.
We will put this on our July 2nd agenda.
Where is the A&S dead animal removal
Out of Russell County.
Russell County?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I do not want to violate any Open Meetings Act.
I understand. Thank you.
But that'll be July 2nd, so
Next Tuesday.
It is the budget that I have to have
Well, your
approved.
budget's just got
but
to,
Open.
this won't keep you from,
No, sir.
okay.
So we'll approve the plan of work on our July 2nd, and it's just a technicality on a special called meeting. Anything that's not actually listed on the agenda, we can discuss it, we can take no action.
Understood. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Everyone have a great week.
All right, you too.
stay cool.
Next, we have with the presentation on the economic impact of tourism in Simpson County. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you guys for letting me come talk to you. My computer went to sleep while I was sitting there, so let me get it back up. Okay. So earlier in the month, the governor presented the economic impact numbers for tourism across the state. And I know they all have this on their screen on your iPads as well. So 2023 broke the record. Actually, 2022 broke the records of the amount of tourism activity that took place in Kentucky. And then 2023 turned around and broke that record, and it was a 4.5% increase over the visitation in 2022. So what I wanted to show you guys were the numbers that on the left there, you see the Kentucky numbers, and on the right, we have it broken down for Simpson County. We have 476 jobs in the service industry, which is our people that work at our hotels, gas stations, attractions, those type of facilities where visitors are coming into the community and interacting with people from Simpson County. I won't read the numbers to you, but as you can see, $80.9 million was spent in Simpson County by visitors coming here.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Is Kentucky Downs counted in this number here?
Yes, anything that's inside Simpson County is part of that number. So their employees are part of those employee numbers there. And also, we are part of the Caves, Lakes, and Corvettes region. And that's broken down so you can kind of see how we rank in the state, where we rank in the region as a region. That includes Mammoth Cave and Bowling Green. So we're in a pretty hefty region for tourism. Mammoth Cave is a huge tourism site. So with all these numbers, I wanted to make sure that you guys, that it was kind of on your radar since it was such a good year for tourism, and Simpson County as well. We've had a lot of visitors pass through here the last 2 years. It's been really great for our attractions and for our businesses. I want to show you some of the things that we are involved in across the state. We've all talked about ARPA money a lot. Simpson County is involved in several different ARPA projects. They are multi-jurisdictional projects. So essentially the state had some money, and they said to the tourism offices, you guys come up with new marketing plans, ways to market that will get people moving across the state, and we want you guys to work together and pretty much compete for that money. So we're in a couple of different marketing programs, which are essentially trails. So this is the biggest one that Simpson County is a part of. It's Horses, Horsepower, and Haulers. It's us in Bowling Green. It's Shelbyville and Georgetown, which is to the north, and then in eastern Kentucky, it's Harlan and Corbin. So these 6 CVB offices, we have worked together. We have this trail, and it essentially takes people in that triangle across the state. And there's a website you go to, and when you go in there, there's an app you can download. It shows you an itinerary for if you visit those places. I'm not going to show you guys all the websites, but if you see some of these ads, and I hope you are seeing them, these are some of the Horses, Horsepower, and Haulers that are specific for Simpson County. So it's this kind of branding. So if somebody asks you about it, I wanted you guys to be aware of what's going on. Another different ARPA project that we are part of is called Great Big Kentucky Adventure, and this is probably my favorite one because it's totally different than all the others. Everything is geared towards adults, but this one is actually geared towards children. So they took everybody that had something great big in their community, like the dinosaurs in Cave City, our fork in the road, the big forest monsters up there at the Bernheim Forest, lots of different things involved there, the big bat at the Louisville Slugger Museum, and they made a video game out of it. And they have marketed it by using social media. They have a little girl that's a 12-year-old little girl that's a influencer, and they made a video with her. They've shot commercials. It's really been pushed a lot, and it's pretty cool. It's kind of like the old school Mario game, but if you go to that great big KentuckyAdventure.com, it pulls up on your phone, and the idea is to get kids kind of interested in it so that they'll say to their parents, I want to go see the fork. I want to go see that great big fork, and get them to encourage their parents to travel. So we've seen some travel this summer, and I've had people ask me about the game, so I know the word's getting out there. Another project that we are part of is the Western Kentucky Barbecue Belt. So there are 8 CVBs involved in this, so 8 counties that have barbecue restaurants, and this whole thing is just to market, this whole program is to market those barbecue restaurants. Of course, we have Wildfire Barbecue and Jim's Barbecue, or R2. We had coasters printed, and we have pamphlets inside the barbecue restaurants that shows people where to go on this trail to get barbecue. And we pushed the advertising for this in Memphis and up north in the Cincinnati area. So you guys don't see what I do or where we spend our money, because we don't spend it here because everybody that lives in Simpson County is already here. We want the people on the outside to come through here and spend their money when, maybe spend the night and then move on, and we just want them to come here and buy gas and eat and spend the night. So this is part of that trail. This one started last October and was the first one that launched, and it's very different than all the others. And it's actually geared toward a whole different audience of people that are into the paranormal. So it's all the spooky things across Kentucky, and it has been so popular. There were 12 of us that started, that now they have done a second version of that, and there are 20 different counties across Kentucky that have things. It's like Bigfoot. This is Octagon Hall, of course.
Is that little girl out there? Or a little kid, whether it's a girl or a boy, I can't tell.
It's a little girl.
Little girl?
It's usually stories. It's folklore stories about different things that have happened in town. So that's the story of the little girl that lived in the house that died. And it's been really huge. I was really surprised that the state was on board with the whole paranormal thing. But we have lots of activity. We have lots of people that come in to see the Octagon House for that reason. So it has been great. But it actually won some awards last fall. The whole program did, and now it's in its second phase. And the Mantell crash that happened here in Simpson County has been added to that trail. And you can access all these trails. Everything has a website, and everything is being advertised outside of Kentucky mostly. Another thing that we've been a part of for a long time, but that got part of the ARPA money, is the Cave Country Trails. And this kind of breathed some new life into Cave Country Trails for us. Really nice website where anybody can go if they are looking for trails to do. We've got paddling, we've got walking, there's cycling, bunch of other trails that people, mostly in the Mammoth Cave area, we have 171 trails. We have like 7. So, Simpson County is not, of course, as big as some of the other counties involved, but we do have 4 paddling trails. We have US Bike Route 23 that passes through Simpson County, and we have a lot of people that travel that. They came into town last week to do some filming, and we were out at Sadler Ford Bridge. We took the kayaks out there. They brought their own talent. They're filming some commercials for that to advertise Cave Country Trails. There's me and April. The talent was young, and one of the girls, we were out at Sadler Ford, asked me, "Is there a fork? Where's that fork?" So we stopped and I took a picture of them because they wanted to see the fork. So those are some of the different programs we have been involved in, and that will continue through the end of the year, and at the end of 2024, the ARPA money is spent. It all had to be spent on advertising, very specific regulations from the state what we could spend it on. Just a few more things I want to tell you guys what else is going on, and I'm telling you all of this so you'll know why those economic impact numbers were high, because we are really pushing outside of Kentucky for people to come and visit. The Sanford Duncan Inn, which is a property that the county owns and tourism operates, we have Nikki Hughes, who, if you have not met Mr. Hughes, I encourage you to do so. He is our innkeeper, our curator. He's a historian. He's actually a Simpson County native who worked for the State Historical Society for many years, and he is a treasure. He He is very much into history. We have really pushed the inn and had lots of travelers. This is the third year that it'll be open, and people are stopping. It's finally taken hold, and we're getting some visitation out of that. Nikki has a program of programming for this year while he's at the inn. We've already had 2 programs, and it's free. We've just offered it free, try to get people to come out there. The last one was with, kind of going backwards here, let me show you, Dr. Mel Hankla on the Kentucky Long Rifle, and we're asking people to sign up so we'll kind of know what to expect because the Welcome Center's not very big, and we had spots for 20, and we had 32 people show up, so we were really crammed in there, but we had $185 in donations that night, and we didn't charge an admission. He's an excellent speaker. It's very interesting. The rifles that he brought had connections to Simpson County, and he was a very popular speaker. Here's some of the advertising that we're doing for the inn in a area magazine. The next program is A Bloody Border. It's about the Civil War. It'll be in August. And then on every Friday and Saturday at noon, we have the live dueling demonstrations. So when our visitors come through, if they want to see a live dueling demonstration, Nikki walks them through it, and he kind of takes a fun spin on it. Of course, we don't do that anymore in Kentucky, but he takes a lighthearted spin, and it's very interesting. If you don't know the proper etiquette, he will show you. These are some other events we have coming up. Independence Day Parade, is of course July 4th at 10 a.m. We encourage everyone to come. Our veterans are the grand marshals, so every veteran in Simpson County is encouraged to come and be a part of that. Kicks off at 10.
Do you still need somebody to pull veterans through there?
I think I have enough.
Okay.
I think I got some volunteers to come and drive. We have some. If you don't know, July 2nd, the Mint is going to have their fireworks show. The car show is coming up. That'll be in September 21st. And then the Sunflower Maze out at Ruby Branch Farms. Last year, the last couple of years she's had an event. Last year she had 4,000 people in 4 weeks at the farm. That was a lot of people. So tourism is sponsoring that this year on August 17th on that Saturday. It's a big day at the farm. And those are actually a giveaway that's going to be out there. But if you have not seen those sunflowers bloom, I encourage you to go out there and see those. That's a wonderful agritourism asset for Simpson County. And then, of course, the live race days at Kentucky Downs are coming up. And then in the middle of August there, August 24th, we'll have the Summer Vibes concert down here downtown on the square. So we got lots of reasons to come to Simpson County and visit us, lots of things to see. And do you guys have any questions? I know I don't come and see you guys very often, so I thought I'd come and talk to you a little bit about tourism and what's going on.
You don't give them an update on the office?
Update on the office, sure. So we are framing right now on the new tourism office over here on Cedar Street. And let me, while I'm on camera, clarify that our funding comes from the transient room tax, which is a 3% tax, which our visitors, when they come to Simpson County and rent a hotel room, that is where that tax is collected. So that 3% tax comes from people who rent a hotel room, which is generally not Simpson Countyans. And that is where our funding comes from. We did sell the building out at Exit 2. Those funds are being used to pay for our new office.
It's going to be nice.
It's going to be really nice. Yeah, they're framing right now. They've got the second story framed, and hopefully we'll be in it in a couple, maybe 6 months. Okay. Thank you guys for letting me come and talk to you today. I just wanted y'all to know what was going on if people ask. So, thank you.
All right, thank you, Amy. Sounds like a lot's happening, a lot of things interesting in Simpson County. All right, gentlemen, on into regular business. The minutes of our June 4th regular fiscal court meeting. I need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Myron. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And next, we have the minutes from our June 4th special called joint city-county meeting. I need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Got a motion by Jeffrey,
Second.
Is that Myron?
Myron.
All right, second by Myron. Any question, discussion on those minutes? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And the next item is the reason that we're having a special called meeting, because the DLG didn't get this back to us in time to meet our deadlines for our regular meeting on the 18th. But it is to approve the second reading and final passage of our fiscal year 24-25 budget ordinance number 220.257.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Scott. Any question, discussion? And we'll do a roll call.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Jeffrey Burr,
Yes.
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. And next is to approve the second reading and final passage of ordinance number 310.92. This is relating to the 911 fee that would have to be in effect in order for that budget to work.
So moved.
I had a motion by Marty and a second by Myron. Any other question, discussion? Pam, again, we'll do a roll call on the ordinance.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Jeffrey Burr,
Yes.
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. Next is an employee resolution, number 2024-06-25 EMP-FSFR. This is related to the Franklin Simpson Fire and Rescue to authorize to have 9 temporary employees that would run from June 1 till 12/31. And the chief's here to speak on this if we need more detail, but primarily y'all are aware that we've got on this rotating shift now, and we have one of our full-time guys that are still out on work comp. And so this is just a pool of temporary people that he can draw from to try to, one, fill all the shifts, and two, not burn someone out for just constant overtime.
So moved.
All right, we got a motion by Marty to approve this employee resolution.
Second.
Second by Jeffrey. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And next is to review and approve the road salt bid. It appeared that there was, 4 bidders, 4 came in. Don't you know the one guy that missed it by a penny, kind of sad. But obviously, the lowest bid was Cargill, so I guess we need a motion and a second to approve that bid and authorize any signatures that are necessary to participate or to
So moved.
make it happen. Got a motion by Myron? Second. Second by Scott. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, next, we've just got, we have with us today the Director of Barren River District Health Department, Dr. Matt Hunt, and Kim Flora is with us today. They're really good folks because they were scheduled to be here on the 18th, and Matt and Kim walked in about 8:15 last Tuesday, and I said, have I missed a meeting? And what I had missed doing was notifying them that we had canceled the meeting on the 18th and done a special call meeting, and they were gracious enough to say, oh, hey, the next week we'll be back. So we're glad to have you with us. So Matt's going to share with us some information about how the health department tax works, if it's separated from our general fund, and so I'm going to let him take it away.
Thank you all for having me today. Appreciate it. Just want to talk about, what do we do in public health first, and then I'll get into the funding. But so in public health, a lot of the things that we do are required by statute. So it's a KRS or administrative reference for what we do. So you think of things like chronic disease management in the community. So doing things like, diabetes self-management classes, things like that in our facility. Doing community health assessments, assessing the need, not just thinking, okay, this is what we need health-wise in the community, but let's look at data, let's collect surveys, do town hall meeting, things like that, to look at the health needs of the community. So that's required by law for us to do that. Things like our environmental services. So if you live in the country, much like I do, you have a septic system. So, our environmentalists are involved in the septic system process, inspections of public pools, inspections of restaurants, things like that. The things like emergency preparedness, so working with our emergency management directors across the 8 counties that we serve for mass vaccine clinics, sort of mitigation of disease threat, disaster response efforts, whether it's tornado, sometimes we help in those medical needs shelters, whether it's ice storm, things like that. Public health is still involved. Things like tuberculosis control, adult and child vaccinations. So those are things that we're required to do as part of your local health department. We also do things like the WIC program. It's a supplemental nutritional program. It's not to be confused with SNAP, or some people may refer to it as food stamps. It's not. It's a supplemental program. You think about milk and beans and cheese and rice and things like that, nutritional products. Our HANDS program is another program we're required to do, and so we have social workers that go into the houses of our families to hopefully change the trajectory of that family, where it's financial stability, it's child development, education that we provide those families. And we've had many families that have been in and out of substance use type of treatment facilities, and we've been able to go in and really change their family tree and change their life. So again, those are the things that we do in public health. We also have a dental program that's more of a local type of program that's unique to Barren River, where we go into the schools to do dental exams and cleanings and varnishes and sealants for the kiddos. So those are sort of, in a nutshell, that's what we do in public health. And so as it relates to the funding, in 1968, so in June of 68, the state of Kentucky actually created public health taxing districts for all 120 counties. But what's required is for a county to adopt or implement a resolution. And so we have done that. The 2 most recent taxing districts for public health that have been created in the state of Kentucky, Edmonson County in 2015, and then in Barren County in 2023, so last year in Barren County. And so the Commissioner for Public Health at the state level, so it's Dr. Stack currently, they set the floor for the public health contribution rate. And so the minimum of that floor is 1.8 cents per $100 of assessed value. But no one across the state is operating at that 1.8. It's a little bit more. And so what does that look like locally? I can say, first and foremost, we're blessed to live in South Central Kentucky, where we have jobs and we have growth. It's not that way across the entire state. As you all probably have heard in your KCO meetings and have traveled, everywhere is not like South Central Kentucky. We're very blessed. And so the contribution rate to the Barren River District Health Department is 2.25 cents per $100. Okay, the state average is 4.66 cents per $100. So we have 8 counties of the Brad in our health district. And so if you were to look at Allen County, they're 5.5 cents per $100. Monroe County is 4 cents per $100, but Barren River's contribution is 2.25. And that's the beauty of a district, is everybody pulling their resources together. And so we've been able to keep that contribution rate to Barren River District, again, half of what the state average is. So state average is 4.66, contribution to Barren River is 2.25. So for the counties that don't have taxing districts, if you were to look across the state, there are 5 counties without taxing districts for public health in the state. And so those counties are Hart, Metcalfe, Nelson, Simpson, and Trigg. So Barren River, our district, we have 3 of those counties, being again Hart, Metcalfe, and Simpson. The other 2 are Nelson and Trigg. So how do the public health taxing districts work? What's that contribution look like locally? Again, 2.25 cents per $100 comes to the district health department. But the other taxing districts are set up at about 2.5. And so why's the gap there? What's the difference? And so think about things like the sheriff's department's the processing fee that comes from that taxing district. Collection rate, you want it as high as you can get it, but it's typically not 100%, right? But the contribution is 100%. Does that make sense? Discount for early payment. So if you're like me, you want to pay your property taxes a little bit early, get that 1% discount. Well, that comes from that taxing district, but you still pay 100% to the district health department. Also, there's an audit required every year of a taxing district. If the taxing district collects $500,000 or more, there's an audit required every year, so you have to pay for that audit through the taxing district. If the contribution rate is less than, or the collection is less than $500,000, the audit is every 4 years. And so again, those expenses come from that taxing district, and so you'll want a little bit of a buffer in there, or that gap, to pay for those things. So the taxing districts across the Barren River are 0.25 cents higher, so 2.5 cents per $100, except for Warren County. And Warren County is 2.9. You're like, well, why the variation? What's the difference? We have renovated, it's a 55,000 square foot building in Warren County, and it was taken down from the shell, the exterior, and completely built back, brand new floor plans and everything. And so that construction project is funded through the taxing district. And once that, that loan is paid off, that rate can come down. But that's the reason it's a little bit higher in Warren County. But just think about stability of public health. It's required by statute, and so, we've got to have it in all 120 counties. But one thing that's been a burden for us financially is the retirement system. And so when I started in 2019 as the director, we were paying $1.8 million to the retirement system every year. So we're part of the Kentucky Employee Retirement System. I think the county's in the CERS, we're in the KERS. And so 1.8 million annually is what we were paying in our budget. Now you fast forward to 2024, we're paying $4.2 million. And so that's a huge increase. And so why has there been an increase from 1.8 to 4.2 million? So in 2020, the legislators developed legislation to how are we going to fund this retirement system that's becoming insolvent, is not going to be able to pay retirees, not going to be able to pay future retirees. And so they took the debt or the liability of the retirement system and looked at all quasi. So we're a quasi-governmental entity, much like, a university, libraries, rape crisis centers, child advocacy centers, things like that are quasi. And so they took the overall debt or the liability and they started parceling it out based on previous retirees. And so Barren River's allotment is $57 million is what we owe the retirement system. And so what will take place with this legislation, we have to pay 5.25% interest. We don't have a say in the interest. That is set by the retirement system. That is written into the law. So we pay our liability over 30 years. So you can do the math. If you take $57 million, multiply it by 5.25% interest over 30 years, you're looking at in excess of $113 million that we're going to pay the retirement system. Long after, I'm retired, 30 years from now, we're just going to be finishing that payment to the retirement system, And so that's something that we're going to have to contend with for many, many years. And so that contribution rate for the retirement system, again, is very, very hefty. And so you think about stability of a health department and public health in all of the communities that we serve. Number one, we must fund public health because it's written into the law. I will say that I grew up and I still live in Butler County. We've always had a public health taxing district. But if you look about how a health department is funded, with the taxing district there is money allotted every year to budget cycle to go to the health department. Whereas with our general fund counties, those 5 counties across the state, but here in Barren River, Simpson, Metcalfe, and Hart, it comes from your general fund, as you all know. And there's only so much of that revenue pie to go around to the various departments. And so that was one of the driving forces for Barren County to create a taxing district last year is they needed to improve their infrastructure and the roads and various things in the community. And so what that's allowed, the counties to do is fund projects, maybe strategic projects, whether it's roads, parks, police, fire, other first responders, things like that. It allows, that money to go toward those projects instead of the general fund just being constrained to pay that public health portion. And so that's what they decided to do last summer in Barren County. And just looking at, at long term, again, I think it does add a lot of stability of how we're going to pay for this. There would be a line item to go directly to the public health taxing district. Any questions or anything?
I have a bunch.
All right. What have you got, Judge?
So, how does it work, Matt? This is something I think we need to get our heads kind of wrapped around. If, let's say we choose to pull, and just so for the public watching to know too, like currently, you know, we have, when you get your county tax bill, there's the general fund line, and then there's a line for the extension office, there's a line for the ambulance, there's a line for the library. So what we're discussing today is, do we want to pull the amount that we're mandated to pay the health department and put it in a rate so it's on a line, just says health department on your tax bill? So here's my question, because I'm trying to wrap my head around how this really works too, because the other taxing districts, and the sheriff's here, so he can correct me if I'm wrong, but the sheriff's collecting all these taxes, and then they're remitting it to the different entities that money goes to. Is that accurate, Sheriff? That's correct. Okay, so if the tax department, if the health department is a taxing line, then the Simpson County Sheriff would then remit that money to the health department.
Yeah, it would go into a Simpson County Public Health Taxing District checking account, not Barron River's checking account. It'd go into that separate checking account, and we would just do draws maybe once a quarter from that checking account.
Okay.
But it would come from the sheriff's department, those checks.
Okay, and so if we would still be obligated to the quarterly payments at 100% of the assessment, regardless of collection rate and all of that.
Yes.
So if that's established in that, if we get to a point, especially as it starts, you know, the first quarter, that we have a payment due and looks like there's no money there, it's still going to have to come out of the general fund, or the shortage of it would come out of the general fund, because we're still mandated to pay that amount.
Yeah, and you know, my recommendation, and it's much like what we did in Barron, is it's already in the budget, and so they had the same conversation about this time last year, and so it's already in their budget to pay the health department. So my recommendation would be to pay quarter one and quarter two from the general fund, and then when property taxes, you know, go out in the fall, the money coming in from that would help pay quarters 3 and 4. That way you've got just a little bit of buffer in there, because still you're not going to have 100% collection. There'll be a processing fee, and that way it really sets, you know, I think a firm foundation for that public health taxing district account to have enough money to pay the contribution rate. If quarters 1 and 2 were paid for, then quarters 3 and 4 would be left up to you all, because that would be money returned.
And so a few other questions. So you mentioned that the state implemented taxing districts in all 120 counties in 1968. And was in 1968 when it was established, it would be 1.8 cents?
That's correct.
And it's not increased since 1968?
Not increased since 1968.
But the State Board of Health could, I'm not saying they will, but the State Board of Health could say, you know, this needs to be 2.8.
Yeah, that decision to increase that rate or that floor is set at the state level. You're exactly right.
And so the 0.45 is set by the district.
That's correct.
Which, just for you guys' understanding and the public's knowledge, when we have district health department meetings, all 8 county judges are voting members on that board. So if the district were to come and say, we want to increase this to $1.45, I mean, all 8 judges would have to vote in favor of doing so. Well, I don't guess all 8 would have to vote in favor, but you'd have to have a majority.
Yeah.
But if all 8 voted against it, that would be a majority to keep it from moving forward, I think.
No, absolutely. And so it would start, that's a good question, Judge Barnes. It would start at the Board of Health here locally, you know, as far as rates. But the overall rate for the district, yeah, it would be the district level, and it'd have to be a majority. And, you know, every year there's something called a CH-61 form, and that's something that we would bring to you all to approve, and it just has the tax rate on it. So there is local input at the Board of Health level, and then I would come to you, or I would send it to you all, basically to approve the tax rate or to accept the tax rate. And then, you know, it's at the district level too. So there are several layers, and we just can't change the rate. There's several layers we have to go through.
Yeah. So, my point to that question, or the purpose of it is, and I'm not saying that it will happen, I'm just saying in the event that it could possibly happen, if the state or the district or somehow there were to be a significant increase to that tax amount, if it's still incorporated into our general fund, we're either going to have to then make a substantial tax increase or pay that money some way out of the general fund, whereas if we had our own taxing line and the state or the district made that increase, that line would automatically increase without any further action from the fiscal court, correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Who sets these tax rates?
So, good question. Marty, locally, the Board of Health does, but it's based on the district. So the 8-county district is what sets the contribution rates. And then, so locally, you just got to make sure that locally you can pay the district contribution rate. But it starts locally with the CH61 that would come to you all. And then, again, 8 judges and magistrates across all 8 counties sit on the District Board of
No,
Health.
I
and
mean,
they set
if you were a taxing district, who sets the tax rates?
It's set at the local level, then it comes to you guys.
Okay, so we would have to approve it?
No, you would accept it or approve it. So it's a CH61. It basically shows how much for a motor vehicle, how much for real property value, and things like that. And so it would come to you annually, just like the lady who was up here earlier brought you this is how much the budget is.
My biggest problem with a taxing district is you have non-elected people setting tax rates. They don't have to answer to the general public. And you've already said, if we took our tax rate right now, we took 2.25 out, made you a taxing district, you're automatically going from 2.25 to 2.5. It's a tax increase just by making you a taxing district. And so unless we would have to have a really good reason to, and when you talk about Barron County, what you were saying is Barron County, they didn't lower their property tax at all. They just made that a taxing district. So we're looking at doing a 2.5% tax increase on the people of this community to do that. We'd have to have a really good reason to spend that money before I could support it. I didn't vote for the extension tax district because I do not like giving the people that are not elected the ability to impose a tax on people. That it's nothing. I'd rather pull it out of the general fund. I'd rather make an increase to the general fund if we needed to, as to make a separate taxing district. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
But I'm just one vote on the court.
Yeah.
It's nothing against the taxing. I just wanted to let you know my feelings on that because we have to answer to that.
Yeah, no, I respect you for saying that, Marty, I really do. One thing that's required by law, so we have to have certain members at the local level on the board. And so Judge Executive always, it's a requirement, as well as a fiscal court appointee.
Well, I don't think the local board cannot even hold a meeting if the judge can't preside.
Yeah, the judge is the
Well,
chair.
I'll give you, if the school board, and they are elected, but if the school board raises taxes, or the extension tax, or the library, nobody goes to those boards and complains. We get the complaint of it because when they get a tax bill, all they see is their tax bill, and the sheriff's done a really good job of breaking down. They had a dollar bill down there one time that showed what percentage of each tax district got, and the school's like 54% or whatever. But people that don't think, when they just get that tax bill and they don't really take the time to look into it, they're calling us going, why did you raise our taxes? We haven't raised taxes. So that's the reason, that's my point on it.
Yeah, no, I understand, your comments there. One thing to think about, though, is if, collection comes in at 96, 97%, still paying 100% of that contribution, whereas that's why that buffer was there, Marty. So you've got that extra to pay there, whereas if it's a general fund, you collect 96% of the taxes, you're still paying 100%. That's taking a bigger piece of that general fund.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like back earlier when I think I had a discussion with you, and I brought it up here just to remind myself, this one number, this inventory in transit, it's counted, it's calculated in the assessment through the district, but it's not a tax we collect as a county, but we still owe that money.
And it comes out of the
It comes out of the general fund, yeah.
So, in your opinion, where does the tax rate need to be And what is the maximum that the tax rate can be?
My recommendation would be to do the 2.5, but you'd want to pay quarters 1 and 2, at least 2 quarters, so it gives you a little bit in that and count. Because otherwise, what would happen would be, you would be into quarters 3 or 4 before you could get enough money to pay quarters 1 and 2 if you didn't pay those first 2 out of the general fund. Again, floor is 1.8, average is 4.66, and the ceiling is 10. We do have some counties in East Kentucky that are 8 or 9. They've had a mass exodus of people leaving. They don't have the property values, they don't have the coal jobs that they used to. And so just to try to pay their bills, again, it's much higher.
Does that health department board set that rate?
They do, yeah. And then it comes here, again, a judge and a magistrate is always on that board. And then it comes here on a form that you guys would look at.
I mean, I know others can raise it 4% per year max. Y'all's could be what?
Health departments are a little bit different as far as the SPGEs. And so our floor, so a lot of the SPGEs don't have things maybe written into law saying X, Y, and Z entities. But health departments have, KRS guidelines just for public health with that floor, Scott, of 1.8. And then that's a local decision here locally as far as the rate. But when you're a part of a district, also the district looks at the rate aggregately or sort of more of a macro level of how we got to pay these bills somehow. There's retirement debt or whatever the case might be, and the rate's set there.
But I think, and I'm not sure, but this may have been part of Scott's question, but the health department's not necessarily constrained by the 4% without it possibly going to a public referendum. It could be raised to anywhere up to that 10%, and it would not be subject to a public referendum.
That's correct, but I can tell you that we would not be doing that. There'd be no reason to, when you're paying the bills and to do that,
And not to say that the state would, but the state could at some point say, okay, it's got to be 7 cents.
Yeah.
And then no one has a say, other than we pay it.
And so in every, just talking about rates and so forth, Scott, in every local board as well as the district board, we always go over our financials. And so that way the local board as well as the district level board is always very in tune to the budget.
So I have one other question. Of course, Allen County, their rate's pretty high, but they're a standalone health department. But there are other health districts across the state, it's not like Barren River Health District is the only health district with multiple counties.
Yeah.
So what are kind of the tax rates in these other health districts?
Yeah, so we receive these rates every year. And so one other district, you think about that's similar to ours, would be Green River District, and so that includes Owensboro with the surrounding counties. And I can tell you what Davis is. It's at 4% in Davis County, and so again, still part of a district, but the rate's a little bit higher than ours.
Is there any, being this is a state, is there any districts that have regionalized, like combined 2 or 3 counties together or anything?
A lot did in the 80s. And so Barren River District was formed in 1982. And so again, for how are we going to sustain public health? And so a lot of them went together and joined forces. And so in 1982, that's when Barren River was formed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not suggesting that what needs to be done. I'm just, when you were talking about I'm assuming that's in the eastern part where the jobs were leaving and all.
Yeah.
If there's some counties over there and that tax rate is so high, then I didn't know if a couple counties close could combine and make it easier to have one department for 2 counties and, when you get to that point.
You could just, sharing the resources, it goes a lot further.
Right.
So Matt, obviously tax bills go out, I don't know, September, I think, something like that. If this is a decision that the court makes, as long as we have to do it by resolution or by ordinance?
resolution.
And so that doesn't require nothing but a vote. It doesn't require a first and second reading and advertising and all that. So I'm assuming the resolution would just need to be done. Is there a time frame that the resolution would need to be done prior to tax bills going out if that's a route we choose?
Yeah, so I can give you an example of what we did in Barron County. It was in September, and they did the resolution in September for property taxes to go out in the fall, so that would be for the current year. Things like auto tax and things like that, it's based on the calendar year, so that would start in January, not this year, just to be property this year. But auto taxes would be whatever's in your name in January, right? That's what you pay taxes on. So that would start in 2025, but property in the fall.
So you'd need to have this resolution done probably by like your first meeting in September.
First meeting in September.
Okay. Because I think Marty's right. I think it's a decision that we need to talk a little more in depth about from the budget standpoint. Like, okay, if we do this, then what is the real plan for the money? Because, I mean, the realistic thing is, in our situation, it frees up just shy of $500,000. So what is the purpose of that money if we free this up? What are we doing with this money?
Yeah.
Anybody else, any other questions?
Eric has a question.
I got
one question. You said something that I was a little bit concerned about. I'm not speaking as a judge, I'm speaking as a taxpayer. Our building out here is old. It was there when you were young?
and it's got a hole in it right now.
Okay, so we got an issue. we have an issue out there that's going to be coming up. My question is, if we have to have another building, what's the guidelines as far as being conservative on spending our tax dollars and the size and where it goes, and is the court going to have final decision in those plans and the amount spent?
I can answer some of this, but Matt can probably answer the majority of it. But obviously, it's our building, but the health department, the district maintains and operates the building. So, and right now, they've done a lot of, in not just Simpson County, but all counties, they're going through and doing a lot of updates and transformation. But I think you heard Matt say, like the transformation in the Bowling Green building, that Warren County is bearing the brunt of that cost, so they increased their tax rate, it sounded like, to cover that. So I think part of it would be, depending on what needed to be done, we might have to look at something like what Warren County done. But Matt, you can explain a whole lot about what's been happening district-wide with all of the buildings.
Yeah, so what we've done, I encourage you, maybe you've been out to the health department here locally recently, maybe you haven't, but I encourage everyone to go. We're super excited.
It did look nice till yesterday.
It was really nice until yesterday. We've got a little work to do now, a little bit of ventilation problems. And so,
For everybody watching, there was a vehicle that rolled into the building.
Yeah.
And knocked a hole in
yeah,
the side of it.
we had a vehicle roll through the front of the health department yesterday. Thankfully, though, no one was in that exam room, so no one was hurt.
So you'll fix that before they vote on this, right?
Yes, we're in the process now.
Well, insurance is in play on that.
Yeah. So what we've done here in Simpson County in the building, it was added on to, I think, back in 2008. And so it was not all renovated at that time. So we've gone through, put new LVT plank flooring in the facility. We have painted the facility. We've added a generator to the facility, all new LED lighting in the facility, furniture in the facility. And so it's really nice on the inside now. It's in great shape. But in Warren County, I'll use that example. That's it's a capital construction project. It's a very large project. And so it was a discussion at the board level with the judge, and I went to fiscal court, much like I'm doing now. And before we started the process for the renovation of that facility, before any RFPs went out, I went to fiscal court. I've gone to fiscal court to provide updates on the progress of timeline of the project. And so the fiscal court was very intimately involved in the construction project in Warren County. Also, for the Warren County project, we were able to get $1.3 million from the state to pay for that renovation. And Barren River District Health Department also paid $500,000 toward that renovation as well. And so it's, it is a good relationship, I think, between all of our counties and the district health department. And so we're sharing in those expenses. And so the things that I mentioned, the LED lighting, the generator, the heating and cooling system that we're putting in right now, the painting, the furniture, all those things were paid for by Barren River District Health Department.
Gentlemen, any other questions, thoughts? Matt, I appreciate you. I appreciate the information. We got to have some discussion and see where to go from here, but
Thank you, Judge.
thank you. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, man. I don't know what he did to that area, but he got it figured.
It's working.
It's working really good, right?
Thank the Lord.
Yeah, it's good. All right, next, gentlemen, is in our last meeting, which goes back to the first Tuesday in June, there's some information on the portal. I don't think we re-put it on for the 25th, so you could go back to that if you wanted to take a look at the document on the medical cannabis and what the state's done here. Let me give you kind of a rundown. Did any of y'all, or did all of you have time to kind of read through and look at some of that and take a little of it in? Obviously, medical cannabis was signed into law on March 31 of 23 through Senate Bill 47. It's now part of KRS 218B. The state's going to license and regulate all of this. I mean, there's nothing regulatory at the local level. We wouldn't license, we wouldn't regulate. All of that would be done by and through the state. The law takes effect January 1 of 25, but entities that are wanting to apply for licenses do get to begin applying for license on 7/1 of 24. And the state's going to issue 5 different license types, and they're noted in that, but they're cultivator, processor, producer, safety compliance facility, and a dispensary. I think the thing to note here is there's going to be a real limited number of licenses issued in all the categories, and the state fee to even apply for licensing is pretty substantial. And so you look at, there was one sheet in there that talks about, like, you got tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cultivator, then processor and dispensary. Like statewide in the tier 1 cultivator, even if you wanted to go tier 1 through tier 4, you're only talking about 16 cultivators license being issued statewide. And then the dispensaries at 48, and we're in a 9-county region that could only have 4. So even if all 9 counties said, hey, we want a dispensary, 5 aren't getting one. And so, the state's going to regulate all of that. So I think there's been a lot of misunderstanding and misconception about what we need to do or have to do. My suggestion would be that if we do anything at all, we do by ordinance. Like, honestly, I think what we need to do is leave it to the state, let them regulate it. I mean, and then if we wanted to have any limitations to it, we could do something like 4 of the license types, which would be your cultivator, processor, producer, and safety compliance. They would have to be like in an I-2 zone if the state approves any license in this county. And then a dispensary, which we could either omit it completely or relegate it to a B5, which really there are no B5 zones outside of the city limits, so that would kind of limit that altogether. But it's not like, there's been talked about that people are going to be rolling up joints and smoking going down the sidewalk. That's not how this is working.
That's recreational marijuana.
That's recreational marijuana.
That's where the tax money's at.
Right. So I'm just not convinced that we need to get involved in the state regulating a medical product that they've passed in the legislature. So that's my thoughts on it.
I said at the last court meeting, I see a problem with it. I don't want to do anything to keep anybody from it. If that's what, if they've got a medical condition, they're giving away Suboxone right now because, all the drug overdoses and stuff. It has to be better than OxyContin and hydrocodone. We got pain clinics and dispensary. I don't think will be as bad as a pain clinic. People are going to be really vetted on what they get. They have limited to what they can. I say we just leave it alone and let the state, if somebody applies for a permit and they get the state regulations, meet all the state guidelines, that's, let them do it. You're with the health department. What do you think about the medical marijuana? I mean,
I know all of our counties are discussing the same thing now. We've discussed it in board meetings. We've had medical professionals to say that they weren't supportive of it. There's probably some that are supportive of it. But we've had some that voiced concern about it as far as the physicians. But I do know it's a tough decision for all of our counties and cities across our region. But they're having the same conversations that they're having today.
I just think the state regulations are so restrictive and so limited that I don't know that us being involved, I just think we're opening up a Pandora's box locally that we don't have to open up if we just let the state do what they're doing.
we could, like you say, we could set what zone it could be in.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the XYZ out here that you could set it up where if they wanted to have a dispensary there, or what, I mean, I don't know, but that would be,
Well,
I
don't think you can have a dispensary and a cultivator's license at the same location. See,
Right.
there's going to be certain licenses like probably the cultivator and maybe producer or processor that could be same location, but you can't do the dispensary in the locations with cultivator, processor, and producer. And the other thing about this is too, like state regulations, let's say you are a producer, so you're going to grow. It all has to be indoor, secured indoor. You can't just have a field out somewhere and grow it. I mean, those are state. That's why I'm saying, I just think outside of if we want to implement some kind of zoning regulation, like say these 4 licenses would have to be in an I-2 and then the dispensary would be in a B5, because I don't know what's going to happen with what's going on with the city, but if you look at B5 zones outside the city limits, I don't think any currently exist. So the chances that anyone would even get a dispensary license outside of the city of Franklin would be nearly none. But to your point with XYZ, I mean, they're really already doing this. It's just with hemp rather than marijuana. I just think we're opening up a Pandora's box to get involved locally with something that the state's going to regulate so heavily.
I agree. We just need to just leave it alone, let the state do its thing, and us just not either do that or put it to a vote to the citizens. One way or the other. That's the way I look at it.
I'm in favor of just letting it alone and let the state regulate it.
Let them do their thing, and let's keep our nose out of it.
That's what I feel.
So if the state regulates it, then the state can come in here and tell Simpson Countyans, this is what you can do, or this is what you can't do.
No, it doesn't work like that, Myron. They would have to be, you would have to apply for a license, and then it's extensive background checks and a lot of other things that are in play that the state will regulate before they even issue a license.
But they would be issuing the license.
Yeah, well, we don't get to issue a license anyway.
True, but they can determine whether or not it can be those 4 or 5 things. They'll determine what can be done in Simpson County, the state.
Well,
it'll be out of the hands of.
They would be able to determine out of your 16 license they're going to issue whether one would be issued in Simpson County.
Whether the public want it or not, they can make that decision.
They already can. But that, I mean.
Yeah, here's the thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where the cultivators, processors, dispensaries are. If you're in Simpson County, come January 1 and you're prescribed the medication, you're going to get it. I mean, it's going to be here. It doesn't really matter.
Just depends on where you're getting it from.
Right. So that's not even really a question. It's
Well, I'll take the stand I took a couple, 3 weeks ago. I'm not going to get involved in the medical part of it because I have no idea whether it helps, hurts, or what. But I don't want it in Simpson County. If you've got to have that product, then you can go to Warren County or wherever that is licensed to have that. That's just, you know.
So we need to put it on the agenda for next, or are we just gonna leave it alone? I think just leave it alone, just leave it alone.
Again, my suggestion is we just let the state regulate it and we stay out of it.
Fair enough.
Well, we can't vote on it today anyway, right, because it just says discussion.
There's
On the
just
agenda.
discussion on it.
Yeah,
Well, if we're gonna leave it alone, we won't need a vote.
yeah, I mean, so, I just think we're much better off just to let the state do what the state's doing with it and not open up that box locally. All right. Next, cash transfer of $28,651.57 from the federal grant fund to the general fund. I need a motion and a second to approve that transfer.
What's the federal money from, you know? Gotcha.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Next are the budget transfers. We need a motion and a second to approve those budget transfers.
So,
Got a motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Scott. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, the bills and claims. We need a motion and a second to approve the bills and claims as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Jeffrey,
Second.
second by Marty. Any question or discussion there? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstain.
We have one abstention. That motion carries. And finally, the May 31, 2024 financial statement. We need a motion and a second to approve the financial statement subject to audit and authorize the county treasurer and the county judge to sign it.
So moved.
Motion by Scott.
Second.
Second by Myron. Any question or discussion? All right, real quick, just some reports.
Need to vote.
Oh, yeah, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Counselor.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to wrap it up.
Amen.
All right, obviously, last week, we didn't open up the debris site. Bobby and I discussed that a minute, thought it might be good because we didn't get a lot of loads the last weekend it was open. That maybe take a week off and give people a little more time to accumulate and collect. So the debris drop-off site will be opened up again this Friday and Saturday from 8 to 4.
Will this be the last time, or?
I mean, we'll take a look. I mean, we only got, what'd you say, maybe 13 or 14 loads dropped off. I mean, if we do this weekend and only get, 6, 8, 10,
Then-
probably wrap it up. Just take a look and see how many loads get dropped off. Also, just an update, it's that time of year again when Scott Waste enacts their annual CPI increase. It was 5.04%, which brings the new quarterly collection rate to $48.84. Another heads up, because I don't know when we will have to address this or deal with it, but at the last Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, they voted to pass the Franklin Forward 2045 comp plan. So that will be coming down the pike to us at some point.
When's the contract for the Scott Waste? Is it? we still got-
26.
26?
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure it's June of 26.
Okay.
Then, like Amy mentioned, the July 4th parade, I think all of y'all may have some information in your mailbox on that if you want to participate. And then, of course, Matt and Kim were here with the health department, but so we talked about it a bit during the thing, but yesterday a guy's truck rolled down the hill and went into the health department building. And so the insurance adjuster is out there, maybe right now, I don't know, they were coming 8:30, 9 o'clock, whatever time this morning. Hopefully the individual whose truck rolled through the building has insurance that will pay it, but we'll let Keiko hash that out with them, I mean, because Keiko will cover it, but and that's another benefit to having the district health department is they have a facility maintenance guy, and so they will accommodate all of that repair stuff. We just have to have the insurance part taken care of. And then just awareness, and we can try to send these out later this week, depending on what happens, but the bids are due this afternoon on the clerk PVA building. I think 2 o'clock was the deadline on that. And that's all I've got. Myron?
No report.
Scott?
No, sir.
Jeffrey?
The farmers are still out in the fields, need to still watch the equipment going up and down the road.
Marty?
The sculpture park out at Blackjack, they called yesterday wanting to know if we could do something with the gravel there. I talked to Kent, and we'll sign an easement, so council could, I don't know what we need to do about getting an easement drawn up on that there, but
Where are you talking about?
it's out here.
The Blackjack Sculpture Park, just past where the old Blackjack store used to be.
He said if we get it drawn up, he would be glad to sign an easement. I mean, if you haven't been by there, I mean, Amy had pictures of the fork in the road, but there is constantly people stopping there all the time. And the airplane up there and, on that post and all that, but there's, people go to the fork and then they'll go over there where the knife's at and then all that, so, but they're not talking, I mean, it's just a little bitty spot there, so I don't mind doing something like that, but I told him we would need an easement before we could do it, because we can't legally do anything on private property.
Okay, well, I need to get with you to get some more details, and I'll
Okay.
see what I can put together, okay?
All right.
Marty is correct. It is kind of a public attraction site, because there are several times, if you venture out Blackjack Road, you'll see people there with phones in their hand taking pictures of stuff. We actually have an airplane wind vane. Like, it's a little airplane that moves with the wind.
And a lot of that's
I was
still
demonstrating that because Kim was looking at me really? Y'all have an airplane hanging in it's like on the thing? Yeah.
But a lot of it's through the
Yeah.
high school ag department
Yeah.
too, the welding class and all at high school.
Yeah.
They do a lot, they built the fork, it's at the fork in the road, they built the knife, and they're constantly, they help put the airplane up. They're constantly doing stuff like it, so it's something our kids are involved with, and it's good for the community
Was it
too.
a monster truck with hay bales?
Jeffrey's right, we probably have the world's only hay bale monster truck.
Yes, yes.
I mean, it's an actual truck, but it's sitting on hay bales.
I have nothing else.
All right, we're getting way out of whack here. Counselor, any report? No. Sheriff?
No report, sir.
Jailer?
Real quick. I'll be real quick.
Time's up. I'm just kidding.
I just wanted to let y'all know, I know this one wants to know, so I'm gonna let you know, this is the last check paid in full that I obligated from the commissary, $23,000, for a total year's, compensation is, $264,000, $264,052.78. So that's what I obligated at the beginning of the year. It's her final check, and we were talking a little bit, I think we're gonna finish under budget around anywhere from $60,000 to $70,000 this year. So, and that's due to hard work and stress with my staff, they just doing everything they can do.
And inmate count still holding?
Inmate count right now is about 170. They're pulling 15 from us, 15 state inmates, which is equivalent year's time, about $150,000 next week.
Well, they were going in the right direction for a while.
There's some good things that I feel like I'm going to get to report after tomorrow that is going to be significant to my budget. So I think it's already done. You may know something about it. I don't know. It may just be locked between it's over the lawsuit. I think it's fixing to get dropped. And they've come to the realization we're going to win that lawsuit that I told you we were going to win. And we've come to the realization it's going to be 2 years before we see anything from it. So I think what's happening is everybody's laying down their hammers and knives, and we're going to get on with it the way it's supposed to be. And I think we're going to see some good things coming this way pretty quick.
Good.
All right, very
So
good.
Thank you, Eric.
Chief, anything, real quick, how's things going with the, yeah, just give us a brief update on how everything's acclimating to the around-the-clock shift.
So we started our first shift on Sunday with our 2 people that are around the clock on the 24. So doesn't really have a whole lot of feedback yet, other than we do have to fill that one shift, with a firefighter who is out on workers' comp. And so, we'll be working to try to plug that shift in. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, until we get some kind of resolution there, and hopefully he can get back real soon. But so far, everything's been positive.
All right, very
Sounds
good.
good.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
Bill, anything with maintenance? Mr. Clerk, I'm sorry, I did not mean to overlook you. No report, all is well? All right, Bobby, anything with the road department? All right, I don't think I've missed anyone. Gentlemen, I do need a motion and a second to enter into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810, paragraph 1C, discussions of proposed or pending litigation against or on behalf of the public agency, and paragraph F, discussions which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual employee.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty. Second by Scott. All in favor, aye. All right, we'll take about a 5-minute recess.